Hi, welcome to my podcast, Becoming a Cut Flower Grower. I'm your host, Lydia, and I'm here to share my year of growing and selling cut flowers. I'll be giving you the lowdown on everything I'm doing and sharing all the highs and lows, the good times and the inevitable disasters, all in real time. Join me on my cut flower journey, starting right now. Hello, a very warm welcome to this evening's episode. It is Tuesday, the 9th of December, 2025, in the evening. Great news, only 12 days until the solstice. You can tell how excited I am about that. I've just done half a packet of custard creams, so I'm literally bouncing off the walls and ready to go. Thank you if you have sent me a message this week. I always love hearing from you, so thank you very much. We've had never-ending rain and wind over the last few days. It's quite shocking, really, the volumes that we've had. We've got another named storm coming through, which means it's an actual proper storm and not just a bit windy and a bit rainy. And it sounds like the north of the country is getting absolutely battered, so that's pretty awful. I've been busy transferring rainwater from IBC1 to IBC2, and that means hitching up the long hose pipe that stretches from the first water bowser right down the entire length of the plot, and then it goes into the second bowser. And I don't set it up as automatically overflowing anymore so that I don't have water just pouring all over the place. So I have to connect the hose up manually. And when I did it this evening, I found a worm in there, and it had obviously decided to take in a little tiny bit of soil in, and obviously decided it was like the best place that it was going to overwinter. So I had to knock him out very carefully, obviously, and he was fine. He fell out and then he wandered off. So got him out, and I've now put a little bag over the end of the hose so that nobody else goes wandering inside. So I have made a start on my wreaths. I realised that I need a much bigger table in Kylie's room because I had forgotten just how much space you need, and I didn't have enough. So I was making all my little piles and then finding them getting knocked over onto the floor, or getting other dried flowers just getting stuck in the piles, and it was all a bit messy. And then I made one and I thought, oh, that's a bit disappointing, because as you know, I've been looking at everybody's wreaths on Instagram and stuff. They all look incredible, and mine looks a bit rubbish. And I suppose it's because I only do them once a year and I've kind of gotten out of the habit of doing them. So I definitely need to make some improvements with the rest of them. Now, we did also build my cockerel lion's new house this weekend. Now, my other half promised me it was going to be a Heath Robinson job. And if you're not familiar with that, it basically means you bodge it. You just get all these random materials, you slap them all together. And the aim is that it's nice and quick. Like we don't need perfection here. The chickens have no idea what their houses are really like. And I don't care if they're not perfect. I just need the jobs done quickly, because there's normally about 10 other jobs piling up that need doing. And I don't want to spend all day making a really basic structure. But that is what we did. We spent all day making the most beautiful structure that I would be quite happy living in. It was amazing. That's the perk of having another half who's really good at making stuff. But the downside is, like, he has to do it perfectly. So it does take longer than if you just knocked something together. But I can't criticize, because it is a very, very beautiful house, and it's got a proper roof and sides, obviously, nice big door, lots of ventilation, lovely little perch inside. And there wasn't too much leveling done, because this is the thing. We normally spend about 3 hours arguing because he wants to make everything level. And as you know, the plot is on a slope. So it's actually very difficult to make things level unless you dig into the hillside. And sometimes that just becomes such an enormous task that I just get a bit flustered and we fall out. Anyway, we didn't. So I don't know what happened with the leveling. It all looks absolutely fine to me. So Lion's very happy boy. He's very, very happy, actually. He's very proud of his new house, and he's got a lovely space to shelter out of the rain, and he can have his dinner in the dry as well, which is very important at the moment. Now, the most exciting thing that I have done is yesterday I took my top client, my wedding and event florist, who I talk about all the time. I took her out for lunch in town to thank her for all her support this year, because without her, there's absolutely no way I'd be in the position that I'm in right now. She's been a wonderful client, incredibly positive, and she's just a lovely lady. Like, I just really really adore her. She's wonderful. And she's been very supportive. She's been incredibly easy to work with. We just seem to have sort of fallen into this pattern, which seems to work very well. She shares an awful lot of information with me, which helps me offer what she needs. And she comes and picks the flowers up, which is amazing because I did deliver a couple of times, but she's very happy to do the pickups, which is lovely because then I can show her around the plot as well. And all in all, she's just wonderful. So I thought it would be really nice to take her out for lunch to say thank you, and also to talk about what trends there are for next year, what she knows from the florist's point of view, and what her wedding plans for next year are looking like. So we actually met properly in October last year to talk about 2025, and it was really, really helpful for me because I really geared what I grew to what I thought she, or what she said she would need. So we talked all about that. Very interesting with the colour schemes. I was thinking, because blue was such a trend this year, that maybe there would be a colour for next year. And I had heard on the grapevine that kind of toffees and terracottas and those kind of sandy, earthy shades were going to be big for 2026. And she's got a couple of those. So maybe that is a thing. Otherwise, the colour schemes are very beautiful and not wildly dissimilar to this year, actually, which is really good because I've got a handle on growing certain things that I've done this year. So we also talked about marketing and what she's doing, what I'm planning to do, and how we could up our marketing game so that we can kind of make sure that we bring in enough clients, but also we're thinking about ways, I'm certainly thinking about ways that we can boost each other. So, I mean, my success depends a lot on her success. Now, hopefully she will be joined by other florists this year. If, well, assuming they haven't listened to the podcast, or if they have, they didn't take offense at what I said a few episodes ago about florists using imported flowers. But if not, then she's very much like my main wholesale client. So the more weddings, the more bouquets, the more arrangements, the more everything that she does, there's more opportunity for me to provide her with a product. So I'm thinking about ways that I can do some marketing that incorporates her, which I would really like to do, because I think it'd be an interesting story, like how we work together to create what she creates. So we're thinking about that. And I also showed her my rose collage, which she was really impressed with, a lot more impressed than my other half. When I showed him, he just said, "I hope you're going to put some more whites in there, love." But she didn't even say that at all. She loved it. She could see a lot of the colours working really well, and there were a few that she was really in love with, so that's amazing. And we also talked about how we could stretch the season a little bit. So maybe start some things earlier in the year, and things like workshops or training courses or something that she could do at the beginning of the season, because it's a long winter for some florists, and it would be great to get the season kicked off early. Having said that, you know, I'm always late, so I don't know that I'll be ready before May, but it would be nice to do some other bits and pieces in May and just get some money rolling in before the peak season starts. And we also talked about this idea that I've got. I've just done the module for marketing module, which is part of this Jenny Marks training course that I'm doing. And there's a lot in there about email lists, which is not, it's something that you're supposed to start at the beginning of your journey and just collect emails from everybody. And there's a variety of different suggestions for how you could do that. But ultimately, it sounds to me very much like that's something that you would do with retail customers. I don't feel like it's something that I would do all of the time for my wholesale florists. I don't know that they want a weekly or monthly or fortnightly email talking about what's going on the plot. I feel like there's a better way of communicating with them. And I would like to move away from doing email availability lists. In fact, I didn't really do them this year because I didn't have enough florists on my supplier list. So I just had this relationship with my wedding event florist, and we coordinated in a different way from me sending out a list. Now, when I got some more florists interested in the autumn, I was in a position to send out availability lists. And I nearly had a heart attack because I sent these lists out. And then I thought, well, what happens if everybody comes back and like wants the same thing? Do I then have to just reply to everybody? Is it the first person that replies back? Or do I pick someone who's a more regular client that wants it, that I've got a stronger relationship with? Or just like, how do I make sure I don't oversell the product more than once? So I was quite panic stricken about that. So I really didn't want to get in that position where I was sending out lists and of exactly what I had. And yeah, I just have this gut feeling that email lists feel a bit old school to me. It could be just because I hate emails and I try not to do anything on email unless I absolutely have to. So I pretty much live on WhatsApp, and you can just do absolutely everything on WhatsApp, no matter where you are. Everything just downloads. There's just no issues, and it's just so quick and easy. And the way that you can just put videos in there and voice notes and anything that you want to. So I'm looking into doing a WhatsApp broadcast channel for my wholesale florists next year. So I ran it past my friend at lunch, my wedding and event florist at lunch. Hopefully she's like my friend as well. I would really like to be her friend. I ran it past her, and she thought it seemed like a goer because she's very interested in getting video of what's actually looking like on the plot at the time. So rather than just a description or still photos, she particularly said she would love to see a video, so I can literally pan up the length of the stem, pan around the bloom. She'll get a better idea of the colors and everything. And I'm more than happy to do that. I think if that's what she wants, that's exactly what she can have. If it makes it easier to make decisions about whether she's going to buy stems from me or not, then whatever she wants, she can have it. But WhatsApp is going to be the best way of doing that, rather than sending clunky emails with video in. So I don't want to do that. So I'm still looking into that a bit more. And I'll report back on how I get on with that. Now, the other thing was I asked her if she'd be kind enough to write a testimonial for my website, which is something that I'm working on at the moment. And she said yes to that. And I also asked her to be a guest on the podcast, but she wasn't sure. So I'm going to keep working on that one, because I think it would be wonderful to interview her, which sounds very formal. I said to her, we'll just have a chat in your studio. It'd be really, really casual. It's not like a formal interview or anything. But I think it would be wonderful to hear from her. And I think you would probably find it interesting as well. So segueing into the roses. So my big rose order arrived. So I ordered some back in October. Not a snifter of those guys. No idea where they are. Not even had any dispatch emails or anything. So I don't think they're lost in the post. But my other bigger order, which I only did on Friday, I think, they turned up yesterday in an enormous black bin liner, which was very funny. I don't know what I was expecting, actually. I don't know whether I thought they'd be in a box or a crate or a pallet or something, but no, they're just in a massive black sack. So none of the fancy David Austin packaging or anything like that, but they were in excellent condition. They look terrific. I am very, very excited about it. So when you order bare root roses from most places, really, and they do warn you they're going to look like dead sticks, and you open the box and you just got a pile of sort of what looks like dead sticks, and you think, oh god, this is really depressing. Often they're very dry as well, which doesn't really matter when they're dormant, but you just sort of think, oh goodness, I don't know how you've even survived the journey. But these guys in the black sack, they look amazing. Like the stems are a beautiful, bright, vivid green, and there's masses of roots, and they were all immaculate and moist, like no dry stems whatsoever. Very healthy looking, and a good size. So I'm going to be planting these during the week. It's supposed to be dry tomorrow and dry Thursday, so I'm going to try and get as many in the ground as possible. And I have kind of formulated a plan, because they're supposed to be going in bed 1, and then some of them are going to go in bed 2. And the theory behind having them in the big new beds where Nigel lifted the turf was that I could potentially put a cover over the entire bed, not like a hoop, but just like with some poles and then like a shade sail over the top, so that they're protected from any rain just before an event or too much sunshine or anything like that. That was the plan. And the beds are like 14 meters long, so plenty of space for them. But then I also decided it would be really nice to have a couple of rows of them right at the entrance where you go into these, where you go through these totally unswanky double gates, which is just the inside of a fence panel, a Harris metal fence, 6-foot fence panel that I have cut the inside mesh out, chopped it in two, and made double gates out of it. And I thought it would be really amazing to have a couple of roads either side of the new path that I have made, which is about 2 wheelbarrows wide, so that you can actually get into the plot and down the entire length of it without getting caught on anything else, which has been a real bugbear this year. And I thought, how fantastic would it look? Obviously not in the winter, because they're just going to look like sticks. But from spring until autumn, when they're all greened up, how amazing is it going to look when florists come? It's me optimistically saying florists in the plural there. When the florists come to the site, we go through the gates and they're just going to see these beautiful parallel rows of gorgeous roses, which I'm hoping to plant in a color gradient. So it's going to be like an ombre of roses. Like, this is the plan anyway in my head. Can't guarantee it's going to work like this, but it will be harder to cover these guys. Not impossible, just a little bit more challenging. But I just think it would just be such an amazing entrance to the plot. And they'll obviously be a lot closer to Kylie's rooms, so it'll be quicker to cut those guys. So as long as I can get some kind of cover on them, I think that will work out fine. So that's the plan for those guys. And as I said, I have just finished doing all the work on module 4 on my course, which is all about marketing. Very, very helpful. An absolute ton of information. I think it was the biggest module so far. And I thought some of the others were pretty daunting, but this was a big one. So I chewed my way through it on Sunday. And yes, so many actions to take. I mean, Jenny Marks, she didn't half give a lot of information away. It was astonishing, really. And yes, so many templates and different things to think about. And it's no wonder I didn't make enough sales this year, because it turns out I didn't do any marketing at all. I mean, I remember being surprised in the summer, like, why is nobody coming to buy from me? Well, on Sunday, I discovered it's because I didn't tell anybody what I was doing. Nobody had a clue. So a bit of excuse me, bit of a big lesson there. So I'm in the process of thinking about a master plan for next year. And the key thing about the plan is that it will be done over the winter period, and it's going to be done per month, and then it can be broken down per week. And assuming that I get my skids on over the winter, which would be nice once Christmas is out of the way, I can have this marketing plan, and then all the thinking has been done in the quiet period, so that when it comes to, say, the second week of May, all I have to do is look at my chart and go, right, this week, this is what you're doing. Absolutely no thinking required. This is what we have to do. We do all the thinking in one big go, and then we just have a plan and we just action the plan. So I have been struggling a lot, actually, in the last few days with total overwhelm at the amount of stuff there is to do. I think I've read out some of my to-do lists on the plot for you, and I'm ashamed to say that some of those items are still outstanding. And I have lists to remind me on the phone. I have them on pieces of paper. I have them in the calendar on my phone. And then I've also downloaded this piece of software called Asana, which is about project management. And it's actually amazing. Like, I put all the tasks in there as well. It just means like wherever I turn, there's a list. And because I'm not really getting through the list as fast as I would like, it's all feeling a little bit much. And it's obviously a very busy time, like a social time. Everybody wants to get together and do stuff, and I'm feeling like I want to be a bit of a hermit, but also just don't have enough time in the diary to do things. Like, the course takes up an awful lot of time, and there are a couple of online meetups a week, and then next week it's like the graduation event as well, online obviously. So there's just a lot. And last night I was at my dog's Christmas party, Now, before you're thinking, oh, I'm going to switch this podcast off, this woman is crazy if her dog goes to a Christmas party, but it's because my dog goes to dog training. So we go dog training once a week. She's just perked up her ears at the sound of that. You love dog training, don't you? Yes, you do. So every December, they have the Christmas party and all the doggies go, and they're supposed to go in fancy dress. And I dropped the ball a bit this year, so she didn't have a fancy costume. Like 2 years ago, I made her the most amazing costume because I obviously had a lot of time on my hands. This year, we grabbed something out the spare room, and no surprises, she didn't win any prizes. She didn't win any prizes at all throughout the whole evening, but we had a lovely time. But it's just like the diary is just really full of stuff, and I have no one to blame except myself, because as chief executive of my own business, I am in charge of my own diary. And sometimes I'm really, really not very good at that. But if you're feeling the same, I just want to say, I hear you. I don't have any useful suggestions, I'm afraid, because I'm drowning in all of my own stuff. But it is important to block out time just for yourself. And it seems like if stuff is in the diary, then it will happen. So I'm trying to block out time just for myself, because I'm worried I'm going to forget things. And there's a lot to fit in before we all break for Christmas. And certainly reading helps. I'm actually reading Germaine Greer at the moment. I thought I'll treat myself to her book called The Change, which is all about menopause. But she wrote it, I think, in something daft like 1971 or something ages ago. So it's not, well, it's certainly not up to date at the moment, although I do have a revised edition. £1.70 from a secondhand bookshop. I mean, you can't go wrong with that. Not the most cheerful reading, I have to say. I ought to go and get some fiction from the library just to take me away somewhere else. But then you've got to find time to do that. Anyway, the rest of this week, I'm going to be planting my new bare root roses. I'm going to be planting the dahlia tubers that I got from Richard last week or the week before that have still not gone in the ground. And also I'm seeing him I'm seeing him on Thursday. He's got another 8 tubers for me of Western Pirate, which I could not say no to. So yes, I'm my own worst enemy, aren't I? Yes, I really am, because then I'll need to find the time to put those guys in the ground as well. Anyway, I hope you are okay. I hope you have a great rest of the week, and I very much hope that you'll come back and join me on Friday for the next episode. Have a good week. All the best.